Some things are just plain simple, like flying in and out of Santa Barbara Airport. With 5 major airlines offering non-stop flights and one-stop connections to anywhere in the world, it's easy come, easy go. Enjoy casual and fine dining, or shop and get some work done while you wait. It's everything a big city airport can offer, in the comfort of your own backyard. Santa Barbara Airport. Easy come, easy go.
It's time to turn it down. Honey, could you turn it down?
Hey, can you two turn it down?
Now that it's fall, it's time to adjust your sprinkler timer.
Just check the watering percent adjust online.
Then turn down your timer to match the percent.
For this week's watering percent adjust, visit waterwisesb.org. Let's save together.
Minutes away. Hours of fun. Explore new worlds. Grab a bite. Have a blast. Catch the fun. Stearns Wharf. Playing near you.
Great.
I can't believe this.
Someone will come.
When the next disaster strikes, will you know what to do?
Dad, I know what to do. I learned it at school. Come on.
Take the first step.
Wait!
Oh, kid, it's dangerous.
Being prepared is easier than you think.
I can't watch.
Send help.
Hi, I'm Becky Davis with City TV, and welcome to Inside Santa Barbara, the city's only news magazine show. We bring you up to date on the city's most significant issues, projects, and events. If you've driven by Lake Cachuma recently, you may have noticed the increasingly low level of water. Although Cachuma is one of our main water sources, there's a lot more to our water supplies than meets the eye. In our first story, we explore the city's strategic plan to stretch our water supply during dry times. With below average rainfall for the past 2 years and Cachuma at just below 50% capacity, it may seem like we have a water shortage emergency on our hands, but the city is working diligently to prevent that from happening. That's why in 2011, the city adopted a long-term water supply plan for times like these.
From a planning perspective, as soon as Lake Cachuma stops spilling, water supply planning, we assume that it's not going to spill again for 6 years because we want to manage our water supplies in a way that if that actually happens, we'll be able and ready to respond. So ever since it stopped spilling in 2011, we've been planning for where we are right now and where we'll be next summer, and hopefully we won't be there the following summer, but if we are, we've been planning for that, and we have a strategy and a plan to make sure we can stretch our water supplies to meet demands.
Despite the lack of rainfall over the past 2 years, we are fortunate enough to have a wide variety of sources to pull from.
We have a very diverse water supply mix at the city of Santa Barbara. We have surface water from the Santa Ynez River, which we receive through Gibraltar and Cachuma. We have groundwater, recycled water, imported water from the State Water Project, and of course conservation is a big component of what we consider to be our supply mix.
Unfortunately, our 2 main sources, Gibraltar Reservoir and Lake Cachuma, are low, but the city has a strategy to stretch our supplies if the drought persists.
Our reservoirs along the Santa Ynez River are low. Gibraltar is very low, and we're not currently using it due to water quality issues. Kachuma is less than half full, although we are still continuing to use it. We have carryover storage there that we plan to use in the coming year. And our imported water supplies, we have accumulated quite a bit of water in carryover storage at San Luis. So although the allocation for imported water may be low, we do have sufficient supplies to meet our demands next year.
As part of the dry weather plan, water conservation is one of its main components and remains a top priority not only during dry times, but during wet years as well.
The city relies on our water customers to be as water efficient as possible. By our water customers saving water, we then save water in our main water sources, basically in Lake Kachuma. There's water in there that we wouldn't otherwise have. So when we save water, we're keeping more water in the lake for us to use during dry times. So we do rely on that saved water as our backup water supply.
Over the past 25 years, the city's residents and businesses have successfully saved a large amount of water, which has been a major factor in why we're not currently experiencing a water supply shortage.
Even though we've had drought and our normal replenishment of our water supplies has been limited, we've been saving water from previously wet periods so that we don't have a water supply shortage. Should the drought persist, it will push us towards a water supply shortage. And that's why we want people to remember to conserve water in their everyday activities.
Through water conservation, our water customers in the city have reduced water use by almost 20% since the 80s, and that includes growth in our city. So it's amazing. Our city water customers have done such a great job in saving water over the last 20 years, and we really want to thank our customers. We're so grateful for all the participation in our water conservation programs and for the consciousness in our community that water conservation is very important.
But even with the incredible water conservation efforts that have been demonstrated in the past, continued water conservation will always be important. If conditions continue to remain dry this winter, the city will be asking for extraordinary water conservation measures from residents and businesses.
We are in year 3 of the 6-year dry weather period that we use for planning. It's projected that in year 4 we would start to see potential water shortages. So we are considering, if conditions continue to be dry through this winter, that by next spring we'd be looking at a stage 1 to alert everyone of a potential water supply shortage.
When we come into a very dry period and the city declares a drought emergency, we'll be asking our city water customers for extraordinary water conservation. So that would be above and beyond water efficiency, normal, regular water conservation programs to get that extra amount, really rationing type behaviors that aren't long-term normal behaviors for water conservation. And we would only ask that for this period of time that we would need above and beyond extraordinary measures.
To prevent a water supply shortage from occurring, we can all be making efforts to conserve water now. So what can you do to help save water? Here are a few ways to take action.
Landscape water use is really the best area to look at for increased water conservation. If you use water in your landscaping, the best thing to do is to have an irrigation evaluation by the city. We will come out for free and take a look at your irrigation, your sprinklers, your landscaping, and let you know if there are any measures that you can take to increase your water efficiency in your landscaping. Really, that's the best thing to do because it is an unknown, and until you have someone that can really evaluate that, you won't know if you've done all you can to save water in your landscaping. Another idea is to do it yourself. You can make sure and turn your sprinklers on at least a couple times a year and look at them while they're on and walk around and make sure that they're not watering the sidewalk, that there's not a broken sprinkler head, that type of thing.
By taking a few simple steps to save water in your home, business, or landscape now, you could save our city from a serious water shortage in the future. For more information on how you can save water, visit santabarbaraca.gov www.santabarbaracity.gov/waterwise. The Cater Water Treatment Plant has recently undergone some updates, and the effect on drinking water quality is clear.
If you think your water has been tasting a little different lately, you're not imagining things. The Cater Water Treatment Plant, the facility that treats potable water for Santa Barbara, Montecito, and Carpinteria, has undergone a $23 million improvement.
The Cater Advanced Water Treatment Project was the solution for meeting the EPA's more stringent drinking water requirements, where they lowered the allowable limits for disinfection byproducts in our drinking water.
Ozone is generated by passing an electrical charge through essentially air, and then some of the oxygen molecules in that air fracture to form oxygen atoms, and some of those oxygen atoms combine with oxygen molecules to form O3, which is ozone. And that has a very short life, but it's a very powerful oxidant.
Most of the city's drinking water comes from Lake Cachuma and Gibraltar Reservoir via pipes and tunnels. As water travels over land or through the ground, it dissolves naturally occurring minerals and can pick up other contaminants. Until recently, chlorine has been used to pre-treat those substances. The problem with using chlorine for disinfection is that byproducts are produced when it combines with naturally occurring organic material in the water, forming new compounds which are suspected carcinogens. With the new treatment process, that organic material is handled in a completely different way.
We are using ozone now as a pre-treatment instead of chlorine in the treatment process. And ozone actually makes the raw water, drinking water that enters the Cater Water Treatment Plant more amenable to filtration. And the end result is we will have lower levels of these disinfection byproducts that the EPA is regulating.
In addition to meeting the new EPA requirements, the added benefit of the new system is that the water tastes better. This may get you thinking the next time you consider buying bottled water. While the ozonation facility produces better water, it also uses a lot of electricity.
And to help offset this, we are also working on recommissioning our hydroelectric plant that is located at the north end of Laurel Reservoir, which is across the street from the Cater Water Treatment Plant. So we're hoping to have the hydroelectric plant up and running, I will optimistically say 2014.
Funding for the ozonation project is provided by a state revolving loan, with additional help from the Montecito and Carpinteria Valley Water Districts.
Through a joint powers agreement, the Montecito and Carpinteria Valley Water Districts are responsible for 39% of the project costs.
So whether you notice a difference in your water or not, you can be assured that you are getting the highest quality water possible, thanks to the new and improved Cater Water Treatment Plant.
For questions on the city's water system, call 897-2628 or visit santabarbaraca.gov/water. We'll be right back with more Inside Santa Barbara.
This municipal course is exceptional.
It's just in better shape than it's ever been before.
This is the place to be if you really want to learn how to play golf.
You get a great course for the price.
Definitely affordable.
Great values on merchandise in the pro shop.
It's a nice, friendly atmosphere. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Some things are just plain simple, like flying in and out of Santa Barbara Airport. With 5 major airlines offering non-stop flights and one-stop connections to anywhere in the world, it's easy come, easy go. Enjoy casual and fine dining, or shop and get some work done while you wait. It's everything a big city airport can offer, in the comfort of your own backyard. Santa Barbara Airport. Easy come, easy go.
Unlike landlines, cell phones are not automatically registered with the reverse 911 system. That means if you don't register,
this is the Santa Barbara County Reverse 911 system. Due to the community emergency, authorities are issuing a mandatory
you won't get the call. To register your cell phone, go to awareandprepare.org.
It's time to turn it down.
Honey,
Could you turn it down?
Hey, Can you two turn it down?
Now that it's fall, it's time to adjust your sprinkler timer.
Just check the watering percent adjust online.
Then turn down your timer to match the percent.
For this week's Watering Percent Adjust, visit waterwisesb.org. Let's save together.
Welcome back. While we are in great need of substantial rainfall, storms can be a double-edged sword. The water is essential, but the runoff can be a problem, especially when it comes to pollution and flooding. In our next segment, City TV's Mark Saleh takes a closer look at how the city is encouraging the community to play a bigger role in controlling stormwater runoff while conserving water at the same time.
Water, one of the most crucial and elementary needs of existence. Yet in any community that has motor vehicles, animals, agricultural, or landscaping, the storms that bring this vital resource also bring with them challenges. In Santa Barbara, stormwater runoff carrying sediment, nutrients, bacteria, hydrocarbons, metals, pesticides, and trash is the single largest source of surface water pollution.
A lot of things get spilled and dumped on driveways and pathways that you never even think about, from people working on their cars or landscaping, pesticides, those kinds of things. And plants are better at managing most of those pollutants than most of the manufactured products are. So if you can get those through plants and through soil, then that's really the best way to get rid of all those.
Since 2006, the City of Santa Barbara has implemented a stormwater management program to protect water quality and conserve water resources. As part of that program, a list of best management practices, or BMPs, was created to provide property owners efficient and practical solutions to handling stormwater.
Stormwater best management practices, or stormwater BMPs, are essentially a collection of anywhere from complex and engineered solutions all the way down to very simple layperson ideas and solutions to treat stormwater with the respect it deserves, such that it is instead of being a liability and a constraint, it becomes more of an asset and a benefit, not only for on-site, but off-site as well.
There are a variety of tools that you can use to avoid overloading the stormwater systems of the city. And whether it be recharging the groundwater and letting the water percolate through, or to actually just slow it down so there's not as much going into the stormwater system at once.
By capturing and retaining runoff, BMPs reduce the amount of pollutants entering our creeks and the ocean.
Instead of taking stormwater off of parking lots and rooftops and getting them as fast as you can into the storm drain, which is what was the practice for flood control purposes for most of history, is to now try to get them and route them through vegetation and percolate them through soil to get the cleaning processes that happen in nature to happen at a developed project site, and to kind of mimic what used to happen there as much as you can.
Besides keeping pollutants from entering creeks and the ocean in the first place, stormwater BMPs also help conserve water.
Letting it go into the ground as it naturally would have done before we put all these hardscaped and paved surfaces throughout the city. And then it not only is naturally treated by putting it into the ground and infiltrating it, but it is recharging the natural groundwater supply.
Stormwater BMPs can range from the very simple to the complex. In fact, a wide variety of BMPs are available for any property.
The idea is to follow what the land is telling you, look at the slope, the orientation, what kind of plant material you have, potential for erosion and mitigating things like that. And just opportunities for, allowing the water to go down instead of out to the ocean.
Santa Barbara's at the higher end of land values, so when you work on projects like this, you really need to work with the owners and the architects and the site planning and figure out where can you put things and try to do the stormwater quality that needs to happen without impacting the site too much, and let them get their buildings in and get their pedestrian ways and everything they want to be in the project and work around those.
Many Santa Barbara residents have already taken the initiative to utilize stormwater BMPs around their homes with excellent results.
When we moved here, we had
grass and boxwood hedges and a
Dead,
magnolia
I should
tree.
say dead grass and dying boxwood hedges.
And it seemed like not a good use of water here. And I also wanted something that was low maintenance and easy to take care of.
Living in a semi-arid Mediterranean climate makes water conservation that much more important. Fortunately, helping conserve water does not have to come at the expense of aesthetics.
It was a combination of liking the idea that we could be more water resourceful and the fact that there is something sort of sculptural and architectural about succulents and the kinds of plants that are also better planted in this area and do better for conservation purposes. So it was a happy relationship between the two. We've got people slowing down or stopping or waving or telling us what a beautiful yard it is, and it's always a pleasure. And we spend a lot of time out on the front deck, so it's nice to be acknowledged and be able to wave back and take some pleasure in it.
To know if you comply with BMP regulations, the city's website provides a guidance manual which sums up the requirements. In total, there are 3 tiers of BMP installation, with Tier 3 being required for larger sized projects.
In general, larger projects that are over 500 square feet of new impervious surface or redeveloped impervious surface will trigger some of the Tier 3 or higher requirements. Tier 3 requirements, there's 3 of them. There's rate, volume, and water quality treatment. So basically it's slowing down the rate of the runoff, holding back any increase in volume and keeping that on site, and then, like I said, treating the 1-inch 24-hour storm.
Although implementation of BMPs is fairly new, the task is not as daunting as it may seem.
Oftentimes applicants are surprised at how easily they can meet capture the 1-inch storm over 24 hours or, decrease your peak runoff rates. It's been another rewarding part of my job is seeing that applicants who initially are a little bit freaked out by the requirements find in the long run that, hey, we can do this and it doesn't have to be that much extra cost to the overall project, which is great.
I think it's important here. We live in a semi-arid place. Water can be short supply at times, so I think it's really beneficial that everybody try and do what they can to conserve. And we really enjoy the look of the yard. So I think as much as we want to say we conserve water, it was basically the design that drove the whole thing, and all the rest are benefits.
For information on BMP requirements and helpful tips, be sure to visit the Creeks Division website at santabarbaraca.gov/creeks. Up next, we'll tell you about how your city is committed to protecting and enhancing the environment, and in many cases saving taxpayer dollars as well. It is no coincidence that Santa Barbara is known around the world for its natural beauty. In fact, it has been the life work of generations of residents to help keep our community picturesque. The City of Santa Barbara is continuing this legacy of environmental stewardship with programs and services that improve employee efficiency and save money.
It's an important goal of the city to operate every day, each and every day, in a sustainable manner. We want to look for opportunities to reduce energy use, conserve water, and recycle more. Whenever the city has a building renovation project or we're replacing equipment, we always look for opportunities to buy energy efficient equipment or use green materials, and it's really paying off for us. It's saving us on the bottom line. As a result of our energy retrofits, we're now saving over $400,000 a year on the city's electric bill, and that's real money.
The Los Baños del Mar pool can trace its roots back to 1873, when the first public bathhouse was opened on Cabrillo Boulevard. The current pool was opened to the public in 1939. Today, the pool has about 102,000 people participate in swim programs each year. Maintaining an Olympic-sized heated pool essentially on the beach can be a challenge. Recently, the city replaced the pool's boilers in order to save energy, money, and improve efficiency.
There were some old boilers here. They were over 30 years old, and they were not very efficient, as you can imagine. It's just older technology. They really need to be replaced anyway. And so we also saw an opportunity we can move to a better technology, and we planned on using condensing boilers, which really extracts all of the heat that's brought in from natural gas and puts most of that heat into the pool. So it's about 95% efficient in this case. The old boilers were probably, maybe not even 80% efficient. So we're saving 25% on our fuel bills here.
The savings from pool energy costs goes right to the bottom line of the Parks and Recreation Department budget, freeing up funds for other programs and services. These savings would not have been possible without the city's partnership with the Southern California Gas Company.
But we also funded this project through a program called on-bill financing, where we're able to, at 0% interest, finance this over a period of time, and the cost of the system is paid off through the savings in our natural gas bill. So that was all arranged through the Southern California Gas Company.
Another partnership that has proven successful is with the Santa Barbara School District. The city has assisted in diverting waste from school cafeterias away from the landfill.
It just made a lot of sense to try to offset as much wasted trash as in terms of landfill as possible, and do the right thing and invest in compostable serviceware.
School districts made a huge commitment to reduce their waste, and it's not just in the composting recycling program. We're here at Franklin School, and they've actually gone to a reusable tray. They're not even using a compostable plate anymore. And so when the kids are done, they're actually going to knock that tray and get any of the leftover food off so we can compost it, and then they're going to wash this and use it again tomorrow. I think that's just a fantastic example of reducing waste overall and saving them money in the end. They're also using compostable silverware, so that goes right in with the leftovers, and we just make great soil from it.
It offsets the cost of trash, and trash weighs heavy, so to be using food scraps as a source of composting is a no-brainer now, because we're so dialed into the concept of farm to table that there's a real market for composting now. And if I do have the choice, then the choice is certainly to do the right thing environmentally.
City staff visited each school campus, assessing the waste stream and making recommendations to increase diversion.
When we came here to Franklin to help set them up, the first thing we do is we listen, and we make sure we understand how the kitchen functions, and then we explain to staff how the program works, and then they tell us how we're going to put it together at their school. We're not experts in commercial kitchens, not the way they are here, and we know how the program works elsewhere, and so we bring in that expertise, but they ultimately design the program inside their own cafeteria kitchen, and as a result, their waste diversion rate here is it's very high. I mean, their kitchen probably diverts 80 or 90% of the waste that they're generating in their cafeteria. It's pretty amazing.
The kids love it. They love the idea of that they're making a difference every day, and they're also know something that maybe some of their families don't know. So they come home with information, and they're able to spread the recycling word more than others in their family have been received. So it's really a good way for the kids to take part in something and then be able to extend that education to others in our community. Also, the kids have a real understanding the difference between a plastic cup and a cup with wax on it and a paper cup. And so when they go out in the community, they really have an understanding of what is trash and what can be compostable.
We've worked with school districts, Santa Barbara City College, Cottage Hospital, and a lot of other organizations in town to help them operate in a sustainable manner, find ways to reduce their electric bill, find ways to conserve water, recycle more, compost, and we're really proud of all of those relationships that we've built.
With several years of below-average rainfall, conserving water is more important than ever. The city has a new water conservation program that targets high water-using commercial customers. The first group of businesses the city is working with have water and sewer bills in the range of $70,000 to $200,000 annually.
The objectives of the program are threefold. One is to offer a survey to the business. The second is to look at all of the uses of water and evaluate through an Excel spreadsheet that we have what opportunities there are for saving water. Third is to provide a report on recommendations for the business to make improvements to reduce water use, as well as have cost savings on water, sewer, and energy.
One of the first 7 water users that the city worked with was the DoubleTree Hotel. City staff made recommendations on water use in the hotel rooms, laundry facilities, ice machines, and dishwashing equipment.
The interesting thing when we look at water savings is a lot of the water uses with businesses have energy savings as well, because if there's hot water use. So we're really seeing an additional savings for the business, both in the energy use reduction as well as cost savings because of that hot water use element.
Water surveys are available to all city businesses free of charge. The Mason Beach Inn is one business that has taken advantage of the program.
Well, today we're at the Mason Beach Inn, and we're actually doing a WaterWise commercial survey for them of all of their water using fixtures. Actually measuring the amount of water coming from sinks, how many gallons does that toilet actually take to flush, what type of washers, ice machines, anything including irrigation that uses water. And our goal is to help them work on being more green and more sustainable and saving water and energy.
You get a $500 bill and then you get a $1,000 bill the next month, and you have almost the same occupancy. You wonder, is there a leak? What's going on here? Being more or less a family-owned property, it's hard to do lots of changes right away, but that's the reason we're doing this, is to get some ideas of, as we're changing, what to change, what's the most important things to change to save the water, save a little money in the process.
They'll receive a complete survey analysis. It'll break down each of the different areas that we evaluated, what their current usage is, what their prospective savings could be in dollars, what the cost of the equipment plus labor, an estimated labor cost, so they'll know the cost of the whole project, and how much they'll be saving annually in water, sewer, and energy. And then also this is part of an incentive program, and so it'll also give them the amount of money that's available to help them fund the cost to make these changes.
The city's sustainability program is far-reaching, from assisting local businesses with saving water and energy to creating a pool car program for city staff that saves on fuel costs and vehicle replacement funds.
The city implemented the pool car program because the city's investment in vehicles and equipment it's a big investment. We want to make sure that the city gets the most value out of that investment and maximizes their utilization of the investment. It's funds that are directed towards fleet assets that could be used for other things if they weren't needed there, and so want to use those funds to support the resources as best we can.
The goals of the program are to reduce the number of vehicles in the fleet, create efficiency, and save money, all while continuing to serve the needs of the fleet users.
Some of the other goals supporting sustainability, I think, is we want to try to integrate alternative fuel vehicles in the fleet and like I said, more fuel efficient vehicles, reduce the amount of greenhouse gas emissions, and by being able to better utilize the vehicles that we have, we're able to transition out of the older, less efficient vehicles and replace them with newer technology, more efficient, advanced technology, and alternative fuels.
And the program has been a success. The size of the fleet has been reduced by 14 sedan-sized cars and 2 large trucks, saving $575,000 in replacement costs. And by transitioning the fleet to more alternative fuel vehicles, the city's fuel consumption is down 8%, saving about $89,000. In addition to improvements to the city vehicle fleet, the city is also providing the public with convenient locations to fuel their electric vehicles.
Initially, we were approached by a company called Coulomb Technologies, and they proposed that they would provide a certain number of charging units for us free of charge. And then there were other funds available to cover the installation through the Air Pollution Control District of Santa Barbara County. And so we were able to pull together all these different partnerships and install 8 electric vehicle charging units for free.
The charging stations are located in the Granada Garage parking lot, the Central Library parking lot, the Helena Avenue parking lot, and in the Harbor parking lot. The cost for charging your electric vehicle at one of these stations is $1 per hour.
We've had a really good response from the public in general, and the usage on each one of the electric chargers is increasing. And I've just noticed there's a lot more electric vehicles charging in town, so we're just seeing a lot more use. The units down here at the waterfront need a little bit more use, and I don't think that people are really aware that they're down here. So if anyone's hearing this, you can always charge your vehicle down here when you're eating at Brophy's or any of the other local restaurants. Well, we're always looking for ways to do things more efficiently and cut down on greenhouse gases. And shifting to technologies like electric vehicles is a really good way, especially if you're just commuting around town. If you're going through stop and go traffic, electric vehicles really make a lot of sense in that way. They're just a lot more efficient in the transmission of power in a starting and stopping kind of environment. So it's just another way to eke out a little bit more efficiency.
To get a copy of the full version of the 2013 Sustainability Report, visit santabarbaraca.gov. We'll be right back with more Inside Santa Barbara.
Do you notice anything different about this neighborhood?
Yeah, it looks like someone actually cares about it. There's no graffiti, no litter. I don't even see a weed.
Exactly. Why isn't our neighborhood like this?
Hey guys, great to see you. Come on in.
Hey! There you go. So on the walk over, we noticed that your entire block looks really great, like really cared for. How is it that our block's only 3 streets away and it looks all run down and trashed?
Well, we joined the Looking Good Santa Barbara's Adopt a Block program. We're committed to keeping our streets clean and free of litter and graffiti.
The city provides us free supplies, including a work vest, gloves, trash bags, and a graffiti removal kit. And it's time we get to spend together, doing something good for our community.
Wow, I'm gonna sign us up.
Here's your check.
Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Are you getting this, honey?
Oh, prime time. We are rolling.
All right, Mama's gonna bring it home. Mama's gonna bring it home. Okay.
Come on, watch this guy.
Oh, backwards!
Oh, don't. Oh.
It went into Bob and Carol's yard. Oh, no? Okay, here it comes.
Oh, Mom!
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
All right, let's see what you can do. Let's go.
They might surprise you. Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
Great.
I can't believe this.
Someone will come.
When the next disaster strikes, will you know what to do?
Dad, I know what to do. I learned it at school. Come on.
Take the first step.
Wait!
Oh, kid, it's dangerous.
Being prepared is easier than you think.
I can't watch.
Send help.
Welcome back. We're all familiar with what household waste goes into the green, brown, and blue bins, but there are some items that can't go into any of them. Up next, City TV's Jeff Goodvin shows you what those items are and how to properly dispose of them.
Paint, e-waste, batteries, bulky items, oil. All these things have a place to go after their useful life, but it's not in the trash, and it's certainly not on the side of the road. To make it easy for residents to properly dispose of these and other types of materials that either can't fit or don't belong in the trash, the city has teamed up with Marburg Industries to offer simple solutions. All of these services are either free or included in your trash service.
Yeah, the reason why we negotiated these new features in the contract with Marburg is that we wanted to give customers the maximum convenience to get rid of those hard-to-handle items.
For items that are just too big to go into your trash can, residents can have Marburg do the heavy lifting.
For single-family residents, you can call in and schedule a pickup of your own personal items, bulky items that would be like mattresses, furniture, old couches, things of that nature. And then we have also included multifamily residences, which are apartment complexes, condo units, now have that service as well. And it just has to be coordinated through the landlord or whoever the manager is there.
While they may not seem like it, items like batteries and cell phones are hazardous waste due to the metals and chemicals they contain. Fortunately, these items can be picked up with the rest of your trash, just not in a can.
Customers, whether it be apartments or single-family homes, every week can put batteries and cell phones on their recycling cart. So batteries just go into a plastic bag and sit right on top of the blue recycling cart or can. Same with cell phones, go in the same bag. Multi-unit properties, it's a little bit different in that they just call Marburg, and Marburg is going to deliver a specific battery bucket. It's a bucket that then the resident will just fill in. We anticipate them being located in laundry rooms or some centrally located area. Once it's full, somebody calls Marburg and Marburg will come out and exchange it.
The new trash contract also covers medical waste like syringes and needles, otherwise known as sharps.
Sharps is an exciting new program. You know, it's one of those things that a lot of people had questions, where do I take needles? We certainly want to keep them out of the trash can. And so now any resident can call Marburg and receive a Sharps box, and they'll deliver it to them. The customer fills it up with their needles and then just sticks it in the mail. It's prepaid postage, and it goes off to a company, and they correctly dispose of those needles.
Materials that are flammable, corrosive, highly reactive, or poisonous are considered hazardous and need to be disposed of in special facilities.
There are 4 common items that we really have one more option for, and that's antifreeze, batteries, oils, and paints. And the real convenient option is downtown. Marburg operates a drop-off collection facility on Nopalita Street, 132 Nopalitas. It's called an ABOP facility, and that's where residents can just very conveniently drive in, drop off extra antifreeze, batteries, oils, and paints.
The ABOP is open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and no appointment is necessary. The Community Hazardous Waste Collection Center out at UCSB can take the same household hazardous waste items as the ABOP, as well as really toxic stuff like pesticides, oil-based paint, aerosol cans, and industrial cleaners. It is open to residents on Saturdays and Sundays.
Basically, if you look on the back of any of your household items and you see the words caution or warning, that's a sign that you should look into disposing of it properly. A lot of people dispose of alkaline batteries in the trash. Those actually contain potassium hydroxide, which is a corrosive material. Those need to be brought in here.
When it comes to e-waste like TVs, computers, or anything that uses batteries or has a plug, there are a couple of options.
The collection option is, as part of that twice-a-year bulky item collection, customers can put out unlimited quantities of electronics waste. So computers and monitors and cell phones and stereos and all those things, Marburg will pick those up twice a year.
The year-round option for e-waste disposal is at the ABOP Center on Nopalitos. The city also sponsors 2 e-waste drop-off events a year at the Sears parking lot off La Cumbre.
We do it in April around Earth Day and October before the time changes. It gives people a really convenient and free way of just simply coming through and dropping off whatever electronics they've collected over the year, don't need anymore. We average quite a good amount of stuff when we have these events. For example, in April of this year, we held an event after Earth Day, and we brought in over 150,000 pounds of just electronic waste.
When it comes to illegal dumping in our beautiful city, the power for change begins with you and your phone.
Anybody can call the city, so they can call the City Streets Division. If it's not you that actually needs a pickup of these items and you see them illegally dumped, please do call us, because if we don't know about it, we can't pick it up. And we want neighbors to share that information with other neighbors about their annual free pickup, so we don't have any blight in our neighborhoods.
By offering simple disposal solutions for just about every item imaginable, the city, along with Marburg, has answered that age-old question of, where do I put this? Now, the only question you have to answer is, which option is the most convenient for me?
We want to keep this stuff out of the landfill and out of the environment. The way to do that is to make it as convenient as possible for customers. The other thing is, it's really about prevention, because the more convenient we make it, if we give people ready options for how to get rid of this stuff, it doesn't end up on the streets, and that's a win-win for everybody.
If you have questions about where to dispose of a particular item, contact City Trash and Recycling at 564-5631. When something's been around for 90 years, you know there must be a good reason. Coming up, City TV's Chris Bell takes a look at the Planning Commission and the crucial role it has played in shaping our city.
In the early 1920s, few communities in the United States had as clear a vision of what they wanted to be as Santa Barbara. The influential civic group the Plans and Planting Committee, led by leaders like Bernhard Hoffman and Pearl Chase, believed creating a specific image of the city would be a boon, attracting tourists, businesses, and industry alike. The architectural style they chose to represent that image was Spanish colonial revival.
Santa Barbara was developing a reputation as a tourist destination. There was an important book written by an author named Charles Nordhoff who extolled Santa Barbara's charm, and a big part of that charm was the city's look, the adobe buildings, the mission, etc. Then statewide, you had a movement that began in the 1890s to preserve the California missions, some of which were falling into disrepair. And another important aspect of this was the 1915 Panama, California Exposition in San Diego, which really popularized the Spanish colonial style of architecture.
At that time, architecture in Santa Barbara was anything but unified.
Well, it was really a potpourri of styles. I mean, one, of course, you had a handful of old adobes from the Spanish and Mexican era. You had the variety of Victorian styles, Italianate, Eastlake, Queen Anne, etc.
But the Plans and Planting Committee wanted more than a ceremonial designation of Spanish colonial revival as the architectural style for the city. They wanted the city to codify it and require it for all new construction downtown. In response to the community's desire for stronger development controls, in 1923 the City Council created the Planning Commission.
The public wanted a more organized city planning, more institutional city planning aspect, not just private citizens getting involved, but having a government involvement as well.
Less than 2 years later, Mother Nature intervened, rocking the city with a 6.3 magnitude earthquake. The quake literally changed the face of Santa Barbara, while at the same time provided an opportunity few could have previously imagined.
Well, the 25 earthquake in some ways gave the city leaders a clean slate. A lot of buildings obviously were damaged, some destroyed, and it really gave it, even though there was already a movement toward giving the city a unified look, it certainly allowed for an acceleration of that process.
After the quake, with the guidance of the City Council and help of civic groups, the Planning Commission began shepherding a process of urban image making that continues to this day.
From early on, the values of what's important here, a sense of place, a good place to raise a family, a good place to be engaged in cultural and entertainment, civic engagement in the community, all of these planning goals and ethics of the community have been established and just carried forward. So what we have all done, the Planning Commission over these 90 years, is really just carrying forward and these central values of the community.
The Planning Commission is an advisory body to the City Council. It also acts as a deciding body on a wide variety of subjects, including subdivisions, land use modifications, conditional use permits, coastal development permits, and certain public projects. The Commission's guides throughout the process are the zoning ordinance and the general plan.
Their basic function is development of the city's general plan and zoning ordinance, the required documents that the state of California requires that the city prepare and keep up to date. And that's the Planning Commission's preliminary responsibility. In terms of their day-to-day time, it's mostly spent reviewing individual projects.
Essentially, we're a watchdog for Santa Barbara to make sure that the plans that are in place, and there are many of them, you know, housing and noise and traffic and all this, that all these are within what the city has voted on to be what their future is.
The Planning Commission's purview ranges from the general to the specific. At any given meeting, the Commission could be crafting amendments to the general plan or deciding whether a proposed development is providing enough parking.
Well, in order to approve a project, the municipal code sets out what is called findings, the reasons for approving the project. And the Planning Commission reasons for approving a project are generally fairly broad. They do include, to a certain degree, aesthetics and architecture, but not to the level of detail that the Architectural Board of Review or the Historic Landmarks Commission does. But findings such as neighborhood compatibility, appropriate size, bulk, and scale, being aesthetically enhancing for the community, those are findings that are made.
So there's both the actual projects themselves that come through. There's thresholds for the ones that we're to see, and then in fact we're looking at the direction of the movement of the city forward.
To see the handiwork of the Planning Commission, you don't have to look far. In fact, nearly every block in the city has a project that came before the Planning Commission in the last 50 years.
We had a city that ultimately ended up acquiring a lot of territory in its perimeter, so we did pretty well trying to zone those areas properly to sustain the city as we thought should be a city.
Other major projects such as the waterfront park project along Cabrillo Boulevard and the Doubletree Hotel, those projects were approved by Planning Commission. Projects at the zoo have been approved by the Planning Commission. The Cottage Hospital project, obviously one of the biggest projects in the community.
There's an occupational hazard with being on the Planning Commission, and that is that you get a sense of ownership of things that you've had a little hand in through the development review process and all of that. And you're right. I mean, I'm a great bore when I'm driving around town with my friends because I try to restrain myself, but I want to point out all the things I was involved in because there were a lot, you know.
Planning commissioners are appointed by the City Council and serve 4-year terms. The only qualification required to hold one of the 7 positions is to be a registered elector of the city. However, these former commissioners have a number of other suggestions.
You need to read the material and you need to ask a lot of questions. If you're curious and prepared, you can be a good planning commissioner irrespective of what your training was.
Someone willing to compromise on certain issues. Someone willing to be very respectful of the staff and fellow commissioners, and above all, a great love for Santa Barbara.
Well, you have to study a lot, and you have to try to be as fair as you can for everybody, including the petitioner, as well as the city. You have to think about the city all the time and what the city's growing into.
Even with all that homework, those that have previously volunteered to be planning commissioners say there are a few more rewarding ways to participate in and contribute to your community.
I loved every minute of it. I mean, it was like hours of boredom and moments of terror, but you know, we did it. We worked together. We argued, but we were friendly, I think, and generally the people got along well with each other, and they got along well with the public, and I think we made a difference.
What an honor, what a privilege, you know, and I think I share that with everyone who's been on the Planning Commission. I cannot imagine somebody having that opportunity and not going away feeling like, wow. what a life-fulfilling opportunity to serve like that.
To find out more about volunteering for the Planning Commission or any other city advisory body, call the City Clerk's office at 564-5309. Well, that does it for this episode of Inside Santa Barbara. If you have questions or comments about the show, you can give us a call at City TV at 564-5311. You can also watch the show online at citytv18.com. I'm your host, Becky Davis, and remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara.
Another day in your day-to-day replays. Moments you might cherish pass you by. But the light of the morning seems to say that one small thing can change the world. The morning light remains. The smile that you offer is returned. The good fortune of the day can be blamed on the fact that one small thing can change the world.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Great.
I can't believe this.
Someone will come.
When the next disaster strikes, will you know what to do?
Dad, I know what to do. I learned it at school. Come on.
Take the first step.
Wait!
Oh, kid, it's dangerous.
Being prepared is easier than you think.
I can't watch.
Send help.
Minutes away. Hours of fun. Explore new worlds. Grab a bite. Have a blast. Catch the fun. Stearns Wharf. Playing near you.
Some things are just plain simple, like flying in and out of Santa Barbara Airport. With 5 major airlines offering non-stop flights and one-stop connections to anywhere in the world, it's easy come, easy go. Enjoy casual and fine dining, or shop and get some work done while you wait. It's everything a big city airport can offer, in the comfort of your own backyard. Santa Barbara Airport. Easy come, easy go.